Most people choose colour palettes for their home by putting elements together and hoping it'll all work out. But that isn't how designers work. We follow a really simple process, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. When colour and materials are chosen without a system, rooms can feel slightly off. Even if all the individual elements are lovely, they somehow just don't gel and it's all a bit hit and miss. If this feels like you, I know that you're going to love this approach. It gives you clarity, confidence, and helps your scheme feel intentional rather than accidental. I'll walk you through the same 4-step palette process that we use in the studio, using a typical bedroom as an example so that you can see how we build it. But it doesn't need to be a bedroom. This works for any room in your home. To show you how this works, I've chosen a fairly typical bedroom, average size, average layout, with the bed centered in the room, windows along one side, and a full bank of wardrobes at the far end. Before I even look at color or fabric and materials, the very first thing I ask myself is how I want the room to feel. Here I wanted it to feel warm and cozy, but not too dark or heavy. I wanted it to be calm, layered and comfortable. The first thing I'm looking at here are the non-negotiables, the elements that I can't change or that I don't want to change. In this room, that's the flooring, a warm walnut with rich red undertones. That immediately becomes a key part of the palette. My advice is always to work with your non-negotiables, even if they're not your favourite element. If you try to fight them, the scheme rarely feels resolved. From there, I need to choose an anchor element, something that quietly sets the tone for the whole room. In this case, it's the rug, and the rug brings together the key colours and gives me a starting point for everything else. An anchor doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be confident. In most bedrooms, the biggest and bulkiest visual element is the bed. And I already know I've chosen white bed linen to help keep the overall feel quite fresh and light. So now I'm thinking about how the bed headboard and the frame can add depth without making the room feel heavy. Here I've chosen a deep navy velvet headboard framed in walnut. The walnut links straight back to the flooring while the velvet adds softness and richness. And as I introduce darker elements, I'm constantly balancing them with lighter tones, ivory, cream and soft white, so the palette never feels too dense, always keeping in mind the mood and feel that I wanted to create at the very beginning. To extend the impact of the bed headboard, I've added a secondary upholstered panel across the full width of the wall, and this will visually widen the wall and balance the bed end of the room with the wardrobes opposite. I'm repeating that secondary headboard fabric again in the ottoman at the end of the bed. You'll find that repeating materials is one of the easiest ways to create rhythm, and rhythm is incredibly calming to the eye. For the wardrobes, which run full height and width of the room, I wanted something that felt present but not overpowering. I've chosen a grey veneer with subtle red undertones, which links back to the walnut elements without competing with it. Accent colours come in through cushions and throws, picking up tones already in the rug. There's variation in pattern and scale in these elements, but the colour thread stays consistent, and it's that repetition that helps make the room feel cohesive. The bedside tables repeat the walnut again, this time with texture through a louvered finish, and the green marble tops on them pick up another subtle tone from the rug. It's important not to overdo it. Here I'm working mainly with walnut, grey veneer, navy and some soft neutrals with just a few controlled accent pops. Paint feels accessible, so it's often chosen first, but that can make everything else harder to select. I always prefer to choose paint once the materials and fabrics are in place and I'm happy with them. Here the wall colour is neutral, but it shares the same red undertone as the flooring and the wardrobes. It's subtle, but that undertone connection helps everything feel harmonious. And finally, we introduce some metal elements, antique brass for the wall lights and the wardrobe handles, and a little pop to add warmth and a soft final layer. When all these decisions come together, this is what the finished room looks like. Texturally interesting, inviting, calm and warm. So that's the formula. Mood first, then your non-negotiables, then your main pieces, followed by accents and wall colour last. You can apply this exact process to any room in your home, and I do hope that you'll give it a go and that you'll feel more confident next time you create or update a space. If you've enjoyed this and would like to see more design-led videos where I help you demystify the art of design so that you can create a space with clarity and confidence, please do subscribe. I'll be sharing more practical tips and guidance on colour, layout, and how to create a home that feels calm, considered, and personal to you. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.